What's up, guys? It's Eli here with Night Jiu-Jitsu. I'm here with my man Ed Stahl from Metrolina Martial Arts, and I want to look at one of the recent videos I did was on back controls and attacks. So I figured I'd look at the inverse now and how to escape the back mount or back control, whatever you want to call it. And we will talk about both and what the difference is. So obviously, when you get into this position, this is one of the worst places you can possibly wind up because your defenses are so limited whenever the person is behind you, and their attack options are plentiful. So let's talk about it. When we get here, and Ed, to establish his back control, is going to be something like this. Most likely, we will be over on one side or the other, but the general structure of it is this. He's got his hooks in, and he's got a seatbelt of some kind. Now, if he gets this deep into it, he's got really good controls established, and that's when he's going to start trying to probably take me to one side or the other and start looking for chokes and arm attacks and then dismantling all my defenses. So when we first start this process, one of the primary things, if he got his hooks in, which is already bad, I want to at least keep his hands separated. So in order to do that, I can try to keep my hands on the inside space because he needs to have an underhook to really be able to establish the seatbelt. So what I'm really thinking about here is I want to kind of dismantle everything that I would want in his position. And so I'm going to keep my chin tucked down. I'm going to keep my hands inside here. I can go home alone or reverse home alone, but I want to keep his hands kind of separated out like this. And I want to fight at the hands to eliminate his gripping capabilities. From here, if I fight at the wrists, he's much stronger and he can still weave his hands in and out. So fighting at the hands is going to be a lot better. When we get into this position, if I can start this defense while I'm still sitting here and I haven't been pulled to the side yet and his hands are separated, then we've got some good early escape options. And what I want to try to look to do for that is I want to start to like raise my knees up, and you notice like his feet here are almost touching the floor, and that's better hooks for him. If I start to raise my legs up, it starts to lift and elevate that. Now where does that weight that was on his feet go? It has to go to his butt. So he's balancing on his sit bones right now. And so what I want to start doing here for now is I want to start elevating these even more. So if I go here and I start lifting his feet and scooting myself toward it, then we can start to get into this ejection seat or this parachute kind of escape like that. So there's a good video of Henry Gracie breaking this down too. It's a really awesome escape. So when we get to this position here and I'm riding my elbows on the inside, this is not a real thing. If he taps to this, great, you just tapped a guy with like 2 weeks experience, but it is painful and uncomfortable, and it does help me get the leverage that I need to be able to pick his feet up. I'm not gonna sit here and hold this like I am right now, but once I've separated the hands, I scoop myself forward, I lift his feet up, and then I wanna start to pull his feet apart. So what I'm gonna look to do is I'm gonna scoop my butt toward my heel, and I'm gonna post on my elbow once I separate the feet out. Now that I'm posted on that elbow, I'm gonna use that as a pivot to turn around, and I've created a successful scramble to get myself out of that situation. So that's a very early on escape. If I can keep the hands separated and I'm still in a seated position. If, again, another one here like this is if maybe I can't quite get that, but what I can do is start scooting myself down low here like this. Now I'm so low, it's gonna be hard for him to establish an underhook and be able to get his seatbelt back. And it's also hard for him to choke me in this position while I'm this low. So he's gotta do some other work to get me back in a better position. But before he can do that, I wanna start scraping this one away. I peel that off and I start to build my frame back in so he can't get that immediately right back. Right now, from there, I want to start to go toward the side that he still has the hook rather than this way because he's going to stay attached if I try to go that way. So I want to start going this direction. As I go to do that, I don't want to turn and put myself into a triangle or just rotate into his guard. Again, if I do rotate into his guard, it's still an upgrade, but what I want to try to look to do is try to get my hands down and inside the leg this way. So I'm doing two things. I'm hiding my arms and I'm lifting his leg at the same time. If I play my cards right, I might even be able to come here and get a pass off of my escape all at the same time. So let's look at that one more quick time. So we're here, I'm keeping the hands separated. I'm starting to scrape myself down low on him like this, and I start to scrape that leg off on that side. Once that's off, I start to scoop underneath. Now from here, if he wants to try to chase my back, it's gonna be very difficult because of how I have the leg elevated, and he also doesn't have the ability to reestablish his seatbelt, so he's not gonna stay attached to me. Once we turn the corner, I'm trying to turn this over, stack, all the way past the guard. But again, even if I mess it up and I don't get cleanly past his guard, I've still upgraded because he's not on my back any longer. Let's start getting to the messier ones. When we get to this position, he's got a seatbelt established now. When he has a seatbelt established, again, I want to try to hand fight to be able to break these grips if I can, because it's going to make things a lot easier. In order to do that, I'm going to start driving off to the side, and if I can personally, if I have my choice about it, I want to try to go toward his overhook side. This is the underhook side, overhook side. So when we go to do that, I'm gonna get grips up and down. Here, I might have to go both up, or I might be able to get up and down like this, meaning above and below his other grip. This is a little bit stronger because it has a little bit of a seatbelt unlatching kind of feature to it. So as I go to drive here on this way, I'm trying to get, to break his chest to back connection. I talked in a previous video about how important from the back, the chest to back connection is. It's one of the defining features of back control. So I need to be able to break that connection if possible. And to do that, I'm gonna start driving my shoulders this way to face my chest up. So we get here, and now I've already created a little bit more of a perpendicular structure versus a flat chest to back connection. At that point here, as long as I'm doing a good job monitoring this and keeping this down, even if he hasn't broken the grip yet, I can start to try to clear this bottom hook, right? So even if he has this hook still in or anything like that, as long as I can clear this bottom hook out like this, now I'm really making some progress because my hips are getting out and my shoulders are getting to the floor. I've got to be careful at this point not to allow him to funnel me up like this and then either get the mount back or start to go into a head and arm choke. So while I'm trying to get myself out like this, I'm pulling my elbow down, I'm shrugging this shoulder up to make extra tension on his grip, and then eventually, if he wants to move past this position, he has to reestablish his grips. So whenever he breaks the grip to reestablish in some other more effective way, that's whenever when we get here, I want to try to like start creating separation and then getting my head to the outside of that arm here this way. Right? Another way that I can help do that, and this is a good detail, is rather than just looping it over here, I can also take this outside hand and create a frame or a wedge against the side of my head. Now, as I pry my elbow out, I can use that to help shave this off. At this point, even if he does remount me, I'm still in a better position because I'm mounted rather than back control, but I still would like to not have that happen. So I'm gonna focus my attention now on going to the leg, hipping out, and then getting my top leg inside for like a butterfly hook. If Ed wants to try to hop up on top of me right now, the leverage is on my side to be able to probably sweep him or at least prevent his mount from happening, right? So that's the way that we can handle that overhook side. Now, if he takes me to the underhook side, not the direction I would probably choose to go, right? But again, similar things are happening in this situation. I think about on the overhook side, I'm probably gonna start the escape from shoulders and the hips will follow. On this side, since it's underhook, I'm probably gonna start the escape from hips and shoulders will follow. This is kind of what I mean. From here, rather than, I can't really move my shoulders as well because of this underhook. So instead, I wanna start thinking about my hip coming out. I'm pushing that hip into his leg here this way. I'm keeping the hands pulled down so he doesn't start establishing the choke or freeing his bottom arm or anything like that. And then I want to try to get up and over this leg here, right? So now, again, in the same kind of position at this point, once I'm kind of driving my head back, I'm trying to get my shoulders perpendicular now that my hip is out. And again, if I have time to wait for this, if there's not a clock like ticking down, I would be just kind of patient right here because whatever he does, he's probably going to try to either choke me or reestablish a grip, and then that's whenever this separation is going to occur, and I'm going to enhance that separation by pulling the hands even farther apart, right? And then at that point, I'm still trying to come down here like this and get out. The common theme on these is I'm trying to get my back to the floor. If my back is on the floor, he can't be on my back. It's just not physically possible. So then again, from here, I'm going back to the leg here like this because I'm not worried about the underhook or the choke. And then I'm gonna try to get my outside leg over and in and trying to hook underneath so that he doesn't have a clear route to remount me or even establish a good side control. At that, people always ask about, what if, yeah, there we go. What if he's like this, right? So, and obviously this is gonna be difficult because I can't twist and turn as well. This is kind of taking my breath away. It's very uncomfortable and very restrictive. I'm still gonna play the upper body the same kind of way. I'm still gonna put the tension on his arms because I want his grip to eventually break, but I need to do something to address this body triangle. So what I wanna look to do from here is I'm gonna start backing this bottom leg up this direction, right? Because if I do anything like this, he's just gonna be hooking on the back of my leg. Now things are really bad. So I wanna back my bottom leg up one, and then I'm gonna do like I guess, outward crescent kick here this way. Right? So now once that happens, I've reestablished the hooks back in front of me here, and now hopefully I can start to dish my hips and shoulders out and then wait for the separation to occur here, and then we'll finish out that same similar escape like we did before, right? All the bad things right here, right? So, and he's hooking behind my leg. So on this side here, what I'm gonna try to look to do is I'm gonna take this top leg, I'm gonna step it on his foot on this side here, and then I wanna pull my foot and my knee attachment off together at the same time, that way, right? And then from that position here, either I can scrape my knee underneath, or I can take that outside foot again and start lifting it to get my leg back underneath. And now we start that same process of getting the hips out, shoulders out, getting my back to the floor, and then creating the separation with the hands, all those same kind of elements. And that's how we're gonna try to defeat the body triangle on either side like that. If I do wind up somehow down like this, right? So Ed is mounted on top of me. Probably my arms are underneath me like this, and I'm defending here. Very important that I don't allow him to get his feet under my legs. If his feet go under my legs like this, and I'm in this kind of dolphin position here like this is really bad, right? So I need to be able to get my hips on the inside, right? That's preliminary work that I'm gonna have to do. I've got to get my leg and hips on the inside here. From this position here now, I want to take my Superman pose. And what I mean by that is this hand is going to go up. I'm going to try to touch my bicep to my ear, and I'm going to pull this one down tight toward my ribs. And that's going to give me the direction that I want to start turning here this way. So as I start to do that, my chin is tucked, and when I start to rotate and face, that direction here is starting to get me more to the side here. Now, pretty quickly as I do this, this leg stays flat so that my knee can start driving underneath and putting tension on his. And then possibly at the end of this, I can wind up with an knee and elbow escape already started if I play my cards right. That would be great. This is like best case scenario if I was prone down like that, is to turn and not only have him mount me the right way, but to already have started my knee and elbow escape and then be able to try to go finish that thing out. So again, it's like we're here and I turn this way, right? I'm rotating this direction, keeping this nice and tight so he doesn't funnel this back up. No separation between the ear and the shoulder so that he can't start dishing underneath and controlling that arm too well. Don't wait too long to start switching the two legs here. And then I'm gonna bring this elbow back down so there's no head and arm choke when I wind up at the very end of this. Finishing out the knee and elbow escape, and then hopefully working back to my guard, if not just creating a scramble. So what if here, we get in this position, and we probably start this from him getting me on my side. Let's go ahead to the mount, let's make it worse. Right, this is pretty awful here like this, right? So at this position here, it's important that I don't allow him to start rotating me onto my back, obviously. So what I need to start doing from this position here, we're gonna look at two different examples. One is I'm gonna start trying to create separation down here by his leg. So what I'm gonna look to do is I'm gonna take this arm, and rather than trying to dish it underneath, I'm gonna lift here, this way, and I'm gonna put my arm under my own body, and I'm C-clamp behind his ankle here this direction. As I'm C-clamping behind his ankle here like this, now I'm gonna start getting my leg inside. I can go top leg or bottom leg, whichever one fits the occasion, right? So from here, if I can get my top leg inside, I like it quite a bit, because once I get my knee in, I get my shin all the way to behind his knee, and I'm gonna keep holding his foot, and we'll start putting tension here on his leg, which puts tension on his hip. So even if he wants to maintain this control of this gift wrap right here, this is gonna start changing his priorities. There's not like a leg attack here per se, but what it does do is it puts like the external rotation pressure on his leg, and at the leverage of that starts to create some separation and some instability on his part. So he has to reprioritize now. And sometimes that's the key to escaping a lot of positions, is just changing their priority from I'm attacking this thing or I'm stabilizing here to, oh, I'm imbalanced and unstable over here, so I have to fix this before I can do anything else. If he does manage to get like, let's do like a single hand here like this, yeah, and he's got me really twisted and tied up like this here. Sometimes the same answer works where I can try to put my arm underneath my body, but if it's too tight, if this is too tight and he's really turning me over, then I want to play kind of a slingshot game here like this. So when he's pulling here this tight, I'm going to try to turn back and face him really hard, and that's in order to make him pull tighter actually, because I'm spring loading this, and so whenever I start to go, I want to rotate really hard this direction. So what's happening is we're playing that little kind of tug of war, let go of the rope thing, where he's pulling here tight, 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 and then I gun it, switch the two legs, punch this direction, and now I'm in a similar position as to where whenever I was belly down escaping, and I'm starting my knee elbow escape, right? So sometimes his foot will get trapped in the process like that, and then other times, what will actually happen is I actually rotate underneath him. All depends on how tight this foot is to me. If the foot is a little looser out here, whenever I go to rotate, I'll actually just wind up rotating underneath him. And then as I go to turn, now I'm starting to get my knee and my elbow on the inside, and I start to look for my escape. But again, I can't emphasize this enough. Even if all that accomplishes is I just get myself remounted. That's still a big upgrade because he's not on my back any longer. And I've gotten myself out of that gift wrap. So that's a huge win for me, right? Little bonus material here. Don't put your eggs too much in this basket, but do be aware that there are some things, and I would qualify these as enhancements to help kind of expedite my escape versus really planning on these submissions really getting the job done. From an early stage, we're always taught about don't cross the ankles if you're Ed in this position. And the reason for that is because if I throw my leg over the top of his and I close him up like this, and then I push his knees down and I arch myself back into him, then it's gonna be very painful. I might even be able to break his ankle, but I'm still keeping myself stuck in that position. So my up top defense has to be really good. And the thing I would try to count on more than anything, rather than him tapping from this, is him struggling really hard to try to get his feet free of that crossed position and then creating separation that allows me to help expedite my escape, like I mentioned before. So again, I'm not counting on the fact that like this might break his ankle, but he may freak out and start trying to straighten his legs, and now that separation is what's gonna help me escape. From this position, if from here, I can start getting down here on the hand and the wrist and start to look to get this rotation. And so I'm shrugging my shoulder up like this and I'm rotating his hand out this direction, right? So this is creating a bit of like a wrist lock here. So I'm gonna keep rotating here. Ed doesn't tend to like that very much, right? Even if his hand has all the fingers on it, he's not gonna like that very much, and he's gonna start trying to rip that away from me, and then I'm gonna be able to win that inside space and hopefully use that to help expedite the process of me escape. Ed likes to do these. He really likes the wrist locks from the bottom here a lot. And so if I miss a detail, go ahead and add it in here, Ed. But if I can get heavy on this side down here, especially if his connection was creating a fulcrum on this wrist, and I can start pushing these knuckles toward the elbow on the floor, even if he started to choke right here, he's probably gonna start reprioritizing a little bit to get this hand free as I push that down toward the floor, because it is a nasty little wrist lock here like this. But again, what I count on happening off of it is him doing something to create separation, and now I can start coming back inside and defending. Any little details to add on that wrist lock that you like to do?
No, like if you really want to like really scare him with it, you really keep a nice tight pinch there, and then like if the fulcrum's here, you just kind of both hands on it and commit to it. Like again, you probably won't get the tap, but they'll be like, oh god, and they'll make a bunch of space.
Yeah. So that's a huge win in my book. So it is worth it for that, but do realize it's probably going to lose you some friends in training sometimes too, right? So and then the probably the last one I'll mention from here too. Again, low percentage, but the Steven Seagal, right? So if you watched, I think it was Marked for Death. He probably did it in several movies, but from here, if I can create this separation and I can get this deep enough here and rotate his palm outward, so in the up direction like this, which his doesn't rotate quite that much, but I want to rotate it palm up facing this way, and then I can just break it right over my shoulder this way here. So I'm shrugging and I'm pulling here. Now again, if you do it ballistic, you may injure somebody's arm, so do be conscious of that if this is in training. Don't do that to your partner. But if I threaten this here, Ed's not going to be happy about it. And then what I count on is that retraction here, creating the space by the elbow I need to be able to get that to the outside of my body, right? If I'm just tenacious about it and I want to break it on this side now, yeah, exactly. So now this is going to even further compromise his position sometimes whenever we get to this position, because I'm putting weight down on it. So now I'm going to be able to use that to enhance my escape too. So again, the danger of doing that, you already screwed up. He did something really good to get on my back. I did something really stupid to let him get on my back. So for me to think about attacking him from such a bad position is, it's a precarious kind of thought. I don't want to necessarily think I'm going to get those taps, but if I can threaten some little things to create spaces and to change his priorities and corrupt the position to allow me to escape easier, it might be worth it. So that's just kind of a little side note. Let me know in the comment section, guys, if there's any other way you have seen to escape these back positions that you like a whole lot, and tell me the reference points, and because I'm always willing to be open to new information, or tell me the details that I went over in this video that you liked or disliked, and tell me the problems or whatever. Just be nice, appreciate it, and thank you guys, appreciate you, Ed, appreciate you guys watching. Keep watching Night Jiu-Jitsu channel, like, subscribe, all that stuff.